Welcome to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B.
We've been trying to figure out a good entrance and exit, and we just can't get it. But we're onto something.
Okay. So
Today, step 2.
I know you really want step 2. You really do. I wasn't going to do step 2 because I'm like, okay, what would step 2? There's so many steps.
There are so many steps. You said you got it, so then I was like, okay, there is a step 2. But did
Well,
you
there
have
is
something else?
I think I can make it all work together where I wanted to go with this. Okay. So last episode, for those that maybe didn't listen to the last episode, we did, and Heather called it, it's all Heather's fault. Heather called it NVC for dummies, okay? Because my brother, who's not a dummy, because
Not a dummy.
dummy's an
Not a dummy.
evaluation, okay? But my brother did call me and ask me if I could like just simplify this, like come up with a step 1. Like what would a person do very simply? So we did that in the last episode. So Heather was like, "Well, let's do step 2." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do step 2. I don't, it's too many steps."
Even though
But
that's the natural progression from step 1.
maybe
There's
we shouldn't
usually
have
not just one step. It's not just step 1 and that's it.
maybe we should not have called it step 1. Maybe we should have just called it a simple step in the right direction or
A
something
simple
like that.
tip, an NVC tip.
Tip. That's what we should have done. But now we are
Now
we're
we're on the
into it.
staircase and we got to
Yeah.
keep going.
Okay. Step 2. Shit. I didn't really want to do it like this. Step 2. Do you remember what step 1 was? Just keep it simple.
Just trying to pause and see what's going on in your body, see what the need is, what's underneath.
Right. Grab your need sheet and start to think about and be with your need in the moment. That's step 1. Once you connect with step 1, then you might move into step 2, which is to start to think about what the other person's need is. That's step 2.
Okay.
The thing
The
is
other
that
person's need.
yeah, but the thing is that that's it's not so easy to do step 2, I find. Because if I'm really pissed off about something, I don't I don't want to think about the other person's need. Still, to this day, even though I teach nonviolent communication, in a moment like that, I don't want to think about the other person's need. So that is step 2. But then if you notice I can't do it, I don't even care, I don't want to think about that person's need, then you need to go to step 1.5, I think it is.
1.5. What's 1.5?
I think step 1.5 is you're going to have to wait. Wait, we've
Hmm.
done a whole thing on wait, which is like if you notice that, okay, so you've connected with yourself, step 1. Now you're shifting over to think, just to think. You're not even in the conversation yet. You're just beginning to think, hey, can I start to think about what are some of the needs of the other person? If all conflict is a tragic expression of an unmet need, they got a need going on. They're just really lousy at sharing whatever that need is. Can I start to be curious about what that need is? If you can do that, awesome. You're on step 2. If you can't do that, because I think most people can't in a moment of trigger, you're at step 1.5, which is to wait, which is, if you recall, why am I thinking? No. Why am I talking? What am I
What am I
thinking?
thinking?
What am I thinking? Or why am I even bothering to talk? Don't even bother. This is not going to be connecting. If I'm using NVC, NVC is about connection. And so if you're in wait, yeah, we've done, I'm sure, many episodes on wait. Wait is a very active moment where you are just trying to process some of the anger and upset that you might be feeling in the moment so that you have more ability to start to think about the other person's need. Because
Okay.
then I'm going to give you steps 3, 4, and 5 right now, okay? And this is what my brother didn't want. Like it's too much for people. But steps 3, 4, and 5, if we were going to go into it, is okay. So you kind of have an idea of what the other person's needs are, or you're at least open to considering what they are and go back into the conversation. So for those people that have taken my intro class, somewhere about midway in the 8 weeks, I talk about like 3 main takeaways, like big takeaways. And those are, I would say, steps 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so, and I don't, they're not necessarily sequential either. That's why this whole step thing doesn't work. But I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. Okay, you still with me?
Yeah, I came back.
Okay, thank you. You have an idea what the other person needs. So, say you step back into that conversation. Ideally, you ask before you step in. That's a connecting request. Hey, can we talk about this some more? Say the person says yes. Step 3 is start with empathy first. Most people don't do that. Most people in that circumstance are going to start to talk about what they want to talk about, what they want the other person to hear, right? So one key takeaway is empathy first.
Yeah,
Empathy first.
we tend to launch in and want to desperately express ourselves,
Right.
but empathy first.
Empathy first. So say you go about, listening with empathy, which again, we have many episodes on that and what that sounds like, and we do a lot of practicing of that in my intro class. Um, and then say, the person says, yeah, you're getting me, you're right, that's exactly what's going on for me. Then if you want to shift over to expressing, step number 4 is make sure you use your connecting requests. Connecting requests are ways to make sure you're connecting with that person's connecting with you. Again, I'm sure we've done many episodes just on connecting requests, but this is simplified. And so one connecting request would be like, okay, since you're saying I'm hearing you, are you open to hearing from me now? That's a connecting request. And then step 5 would be when you go to express, you're sticking with OFN, observations, feelings, needs. That's it. You're not going into like all of your judgments. You're sticking with clean, quote, clean, free of judgment language where you're stating whatever the observation is, how you're feeling, what your needs are. And that's not that easy of a thing to do. That's why we have the intro class. That's why we have the empathy gym, because people have to practice this stuff. It doesn't just happen automatically. And then when you get to done with expressing your observation and your feeling needs, that's where more connecting requests come in. How was that for you to hear that? I'm wondering what you are hearing. Those are some things that we never do, is use these connecting requests. So there you go. Step 1, figure out your own needs. Step 1 and step 2, start to think about other people's needs, if the other person's needs. If you can't, you're at 1.5, go back and wait and do some stuff so that you have more ability to tune into the other's needs. Once you step into the conversation, step 3 is empathy first. And then step 4 is remember to use your connecting request to go back and forth between listening to the other person and expressing yourself. And step 5 is when you do go to express, that you use observations and feelings and needs only to keep your language free of judgment. That's it. Simple, easy
5
peasy.
steps.
5 steps. Is that what it came to? Yep. Five easy steps, which are not easy at all,
Yeah,
in
not
my
easy.
opinion. Not
That could be your
easy.
next
So
book.
what? 5 of the 5. It's not easy though. It's already in the book. All those things are already in the book. They are.
True.
And just like Marshall, the guy that developed NVC, used to say, like, you okay, so you got the steps down intellectually, you're understanding it, but understanding it, getting it at an intellectual level, and applying it, doing it in your life, two totally different things. That is why it's taken years, but we developed a whole system for people to be plugged into so that this stuff can actually come to life, because it doesn't just happen by understanding it intellectually.
And that's why you should sign up for the Bigby method.
True. Come sign up for the Bigby Method, www.thebigbymethod.com. And if you have any questions about these 5 not simple steps, you can call us on our
Or
Empathy Warm line
at 850-706-0488.
And now we're going to have our exit music, which we still have yet to figure out what exactly we're doing with it. But I at least think I know how to turn it on right. So here we go. Oh, good idea, Heather. Maybe I just do this.
You've been listening to It's All About Connection, NVC with Dr. B. For more episodes and guest bios, please visit us at www.thebigbymethod.com. That's www.thebigbymethod.com. And remember, empathy first.